Welcome to Makani FC's first podcast. This is our CEO of Makani FC, Sergio. I don't know how you say your last name. I'm not going to butcher it.
Boglioli.
Boglioli.
Like the Oli trolley they see in Waikiki, but with a B in front of it.
Boglioli. Mr. Boglioli. and my name's Pancho Shaffet. Sergio, what's your background? You're from Paraguay? Yeah?
No, Uruguay. Uruguay.
Argentina.
Try to make enemies already, aren't
so
you?
So what's Uruguay's history? They were the first. I think they were the first World Cup champions, weren't they? Mm-hmm. Back to back.
Pretty much 3 in a row if you count the 24 and 28 Olympics, which were hosted, organized by FIFA under the Olympic umbrella. So 24, 28, and 1930. But 1930 is the first official FIFA World Cup.
So there's a lot of soccer in your Uruguayan blood.
Oh, yeah.
And so
soccer is a passion. There's a way of life.
Yep.
Yeah. Soccer moves the country, the masses. Imagine in the United States having the NBA, the Major League Baseball, and football all wrapped into one.
And that's Uruguayan soccer.
That's Uruguay soccer. Then rugby would be NHL, and same thing with basketball.
Right on, man. And then you've been here since how long? Like
in the United States since '79, and Hawaii since '86.
86. And then since 86, you've been involved in soccer pretty much since you got here, right?
Well, as a player first for many years, and then 10 years later, that's when we started the league. 1996, we started MISO League.
MISO, so that's Major Island Soccer.
At the time, it was a men's island soccer organization.
Okay.
It was strictly a men's league that we felt there was a need to do a different structure on the way the adult leagues were being run here. And we started one, a bunch of us, like 8 of us started one back in 1996. And then a year later, I was the solo one. Everybody else, 7 out of the 10, 7 out of the 8 people, jumped ship. Yeah, and then as the league grew, we started including seniors. We included a youth division, boys and girls, and a women's division, 35 and over. So then we changed the name from men's island soccer to major island soccer, just so could, include everybody.
So more diversification than the other leagues. There's 2 other leagues on island, right?
There's more than 2 other leagues. On the adult side, there's 2 others, but there's also youth. We're the only league that has everything under one umbrella. No. Even in the mainland, it's very unusual to find a league that caters to adult and the youth under the same umbrella. And most leagues are like strictly youth or strictly adults, strictly men or strictly women. The only division that we don't have right now is a co-ed division.
Nice.
But, yeah.
And then you're also associated or affiliated with U.S. Soccer, correct?
Indirectly through USASA.
USA?
Yeah. So, United States Adult Soccer Association.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But then the voting, where you go to the mainland to vote?
USASA is a member.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I meant indirectly. So, Pancho, tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Came to the island in 2000, fell in love with the place. Haven't been involved in soccer as much as you have. But what I did find was that Hawaii has a very unique relationship with soccer. And it's very much of a soccer state. So then as a serial entrepreneur, I kind of saw it as a way to maybe start something here on island as far as professional. And then that's when I was pitching the soccer startup. The bartender was the one that said, "Have you talked to Sergio?" And then that's what led me to you, and then led us to the project, which is Makani FC. So that would be a birthing into the league, which would be NISA, which would be Tier 3. And then right now, what we have knocking on our door is, of course, USL, which you know. Dan and the guys, Matt, have been here talking to representatives here on island to start the USL team. And that's basically because they have a new stadium being built. And so with the tear down of the old one and the build up of the new one, they see it as an emergency opportunity to have a franchise out here.
Yeah, cool. So when all this comes into fruition, we have to go back and credit the bartender.
Create a bartender?
No, credit that bartender.
Who was that bartender? I know he played for Mililani. He was probably as tall as Kenji, and he was a goalkeeper. He was a goalkeeper coach. Who was that dude?
Oh,
You know him.
Darren Smith.
There you go.
Darren
Yeah.
Smith. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Darren. Appreciate that introduction, roundabout way. Talk about a major fail, too. I was pitching at the startup. No one voted for my startup. Absolute, total fail. The only thing I got from that was a nice picture of me with a mic.
Oh, that's what that
Yeah, that's what it is. So it's a nice professional picture of me pitching in front of 30 plus VCs, startup community, and I could fucking cuss. Yeah, fucking fail. Guaranteed. But I got the introduction, and it's all about failing better, so
Yeah.
that was pretty hilarious. So where are we at now? Where are we at today?
We're at the grassroots level, trying, having dreams of what could be and trying to make those dreams become a reality. I believe that there is room to have, a professional soccer here in Hawaii. It's been tried before and failed. I don't think the timing was right when it happened. We didn't have the same infrastructure, with soccer, the same numbers, the same popularity. There was just like amateur leagues, youth leagues, amateur leagues, and then boom, soccer. There was nothing to fill, the void in between. I think we have to create a slope in which the youth progress to the competitive amateur, and then from there,
It's a pipeline to the professional.
Exactly.
So let's
and we need to build that. But the thing that Hawaii needs to work on the most, I believe, is creating a soccer culture
Yeah.
that can reflect in the attendance of the games. Because right now Hawaii doesn't have that, and we notice that every year, like they bring professional soccer over here, for exhibition games. For a state that has no professional team, whenever a pro team comes, regardless of the level of the team, the stand should be filled. They should be at least 50% filled, and they struggle, putting 10,000 people in the stadium. And that's something that we need to change. We need to make people understand, the need for them to support, the local teams and stuff. But maybe we want to edit this out because it's not good for the.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back to the history.
It is not good for for sponsors. They don't even get people.
No. Let's go back.
Being honest.
Let's go back. Let's go back to the history of professional soccer here on island. So we had the USL Tsunami. That was in.
There
2000.
was two. Actually, there were two
Yeah.
professional teams. There was back in the 70s. There was
Yeah.
Team Hawaii playing the NASL. Which actually had the biggest attendance he ever got was when the Cosmos game,
Cosmos,
with
right?
Pele playing.
Pele, right.
Yeah, Pele was playing at the time with the Cosmos, and that I believe they sold out Aloha Stadium.
Wow. So that's almost 50,000.
I believe they did. I wasn't here, but I heard rumors and stuff. Maybe we could look that up, and then
Let's look it up real quick. I'll
a
look
few
it up.
years later, many years later, a couple of decades later, that there was a Hawaii tsunami. I think it was tsunami started the same year that Miso started, I believe. I believe started in '96 or might have been '95 that tsunami started.
Tsunami.
Yeah.
And so that had pretty low attendance, but the sponsorships were epic. The sponsorships included the Kellys, which are the families that own the Outrigger Hotel Resorts.
At the time,
And
yeah.
then Hawaiian Airlines, which, if you are watching Hawaiian Airlines, pardon my cussing, but we want your sponsorship. Bad.
We'll go to Southwest.
Or we'll go to Southwest, which we have already been opening up communications with Kelly from Southwest. So let it be known, it's either the heart on our jersey or it's Hawaiian Airlines. Yeah, so that's the professional. Oh, but what about the exhibition? I think we had one with Beckham. Back in what year?
I think that was, I want to say 17 years ago. 15,
Was that
15, 17 years ago.
Was that 2007, 2006-ish, somewhere around there?
Yeah, around there. I'm not exactly
But
sure.
that was at
what it
Aloha
was.
Stadium too.
I think it was the first. That was the first Pacific Rim Cup.
No,
the second.
Was
might
that
have been,
Pacific
yeah.
Rim Cup or Hawaii Invitational?
Well, it was the same organizer, just changed the name because
Gotcha.
I think they had some legal issues with the name from that was the second one. I think they had some legal issues with the name they had to change for that one year.
So that behind it, Pacific Rim Cup, let our audience know, that's David Matlin, who did the Sheraton Bowl and stuff like that. He brought in ESPN. ESPN needed a liaison out here to start up pro exhibitions. And then on the Japanese side, you had Taka and Blue Unlimited, right? Blue Limited, right? So Pacific Rim Cup, let me see, how many, 2 years? And then we had a Hawaiian Invitational 1 year. I think that was in 2012. That was Columbia.
Houston Dynamo.
That was with Beckham. So that was Dynamo.
Yeah, Dynamo, and it was here. LA Galaxy was here. So Brian Ching and Beckham both came.
Oh, both of them. So that's hometown
and then there
hero.
was I believe there was 2 Japanese team or was 1 Korean. I remember one year there was a Japanese and a Korean team that came. I forget exactly, but yeah, they came about I think 4 times altogether.
Nice.
4
times for that one. So did we get the numbers on that?
Pele, I can only find he came in April 7, 1976. He played Team Honda of Japan. They beat him 5-0. It was a triple header. But as soon as I want more, it's like sign up now type of thing. So
it doesn't say NASL Team Hawaii versus Cosmos.
You want to know like the attendance, right?
Or just see like when they played. I mean, they probably said something about the attendance.
They lost 2-1. Team Hawaii lost to Cosmos 2-1. That was April 13, 77.
So there's a little bit of history here.
Does it say anything about the attendance?
Doesn't say anything about the attendance.
Ticket sales were at a high point in 1977 in a match against Pele and the New York Cosmos, the NASL's biggest gate attraction. Still, the crowd of 12,877 swam in the 50,000 seat expanse of the stadium.
Okay.
So that's about the same attendance as
the tsunami.
As tsunami, and then as PRC, Pacific Rim Cup. I think at the most.
Yeah, first it was Pacific Rim Cup, then they did the Hawaii Invitation because there was something with the legality.
Legality
of the
so
name.
Then they went back to Pacific Rim Cup, and that was all Blue United. Mm-hmm. And that first year that they came, right? Was that the only time they came? Was Under Armour, or did they come back?
No, the last 2 times they came was with Under Armour.
Under Armour. So they came 2 times with a sponsorship of Under Armour. Mm-hmm. And the first time that they came, who did they have? Who was it?
The main sponsor?
No. Who's
the
playing?
teams? I don't recall, but I remember it was 2 MLS teams. I think the Columbus Crew was one of them.
No, Iwake
was the last one.
Iwake was the last one.
That was Under Armour. But that's because that's the main sponsor for our Under Armour.
Okay. So at most, what was the attendance there? I remember them saying it. That was 9,800. So 9,800. That's the same as swimming in a 50,000 seat stadium.
That's why you want Waipio Soccer Stadium.
From history, you're looking at good attendance, but swimming in a huge stadium. Mm-hmm. So now what's in the works is they're thinking of building a new stadium, thinking of starting a contract with the USL, and this is going to be a 35,000 seat stadium. Probably a little bit soccer specific. But what we do have at our disposal, if we're looking at NISA, is a 5,000 to roughly 6,000 seat at Waipio Soccer Complex, where the audience is already there. Correct? I mean,
that's what we believe. Yeah.
How many fields are there in Waipio?
At Waipio, there's 20 fields plus a stadium currently.
20 fields.
I mean, full-size field. I mean, if you break them down to small-sided for youth, then it's a lot more. But full-size field we currently have.
And they're pretty much being used.
Yeah, during the high peaks seasons, which is usually September, October, and then March, May. March through May. Then all 20 fields are being used. Saturday and Sunday pretty much.
So that means.
And there is room for another 12 fields to be added there.
That was phase 2, right?
We're waiting for phase 2, yeah.
Because in this plan of Waipio Soccer Complex, which let's give our audience the history there, it was donated by an admiral of Pearl Harbor.
It was leased for $1, I believe.
Leased for $1 to the city. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then the city created this complex, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and I think it all had more fields and also dormitories for traveling teams, right?
They had a lot more than
And
we have right
facilities,
now.
yeah.
A lot
So
more.
it's only in phase one.
Yeah, we're still in phase one. Like the fields are supposed to be 32 fields plus the stadium. 7 of those fields are supposed to be lit up. This going, by the original proposal in the original design of the park. There's supposed to be 2 or 3 futsal or indoor soccer courts
really?
in there
Okay.
with dormitories, and everything is supposed to be built with the stadium. Like the stadium's supposed to be a lot bigger than it is right now. Right now it's 5,000 to 6,000 maximum. The final numbers of the stadium is supposed to be 18,000. And in the structure of the stadium, there's supposed to be dormitories, training rooms, 2 or 3 futsal fields or indoor soccer fields, and a lot more stuff, concessions, parking, you name it. I mean, like the stadium looks really nice on the original design. Looks like a small European stadium,
Yeah.
But I don't know if we'll ever get to that phase. That's phase 3 of the stadium. Hopefully we will.
Well, where we're at now, we have the ability to use the soccer complex for a pro. Let's just let our audience know where we're thinking of going. So lay out the plan. So we lay out the plan, and it's about teaming up, getting your team ready. So we have Javier Risco, who's our Chief Marketing Officer. Mm-hmm. We have you, that's our Chief Executive Officer. We have our Chief Content Officer, who's behind the camera right now, that's Kenji. And then we have me, our Chief Technology Officer, which I don't even know how I got that title, but I gave it to myself, so we're looking good. So our plan is to follow patterns around the U.S. Luckily, we're filming here at the hub, Honolulu, and this is where we found out that crowdfunding had helped teams in Chattanooga and Detroit FC. Now we're seeing teams such as Portland, PDX. We have teams Minnesota that just raised $1 million. That killed it on their crowdfunding, and usually the platform that they're using is Refunder. So that's our whole plan, is to lay it on down the line and bet hard on our Refunder campaign. So
funny they mentioned Chattanooga, because a few years ago I got to go see them play, twice.
Chattanooga FC,
and they won the Hank Steinbrenner Cup. I got to go there and witness that in Chattanooga.
And you see their fan base.
It was like, I was pretty impressed with the fan base. I mean, they packed the one full side of the stadium was packed, and they just had a constant energy. There were maybe 10,000. It was a small stadium, but it was about 10,000 people there.
And that's what you want.
And it was packed, and the local fans kept chanting, supporting, flag waving the whole game on both games that we saw. I was like,
so Chattanooga. I think Chattanooga had a refunder of about 1.8 million. They raised $872,000 from 3,256 investors. So lay it out to our crowd, or podcasters, or YouTube subscribers, and our Patreon members that this has been done already. Now what we want to do is take it up a notch. So we want to not only offer shares, but we want to utilize the technology that we created with our friends in Spain, which is blockchain tech. So we're going to tokenize your ownership. Super simple, nothing new. It's the same as owning shares of a corporation, except that it makes it frictionless and makes it ease. So I can give you a share right now. If you just scan our QR code, you're going to get a tokenization. You're going to get a token of the team. You can own it. You can give it out to your daughter. Yeah, you can give it out to anyone you want, and it'll be pretty easy. Now, for us, we want to utilize this technology not only for us, but to other teams, like fan-owned team in Austria, in Spain with, I believe these guys are going for a Spanish Pro-Am team.
currently is an amateur team.
Amateur team?
Yeah.
So reutilize this technology. It's a disruptor for the ownership model. Super simple, super easy, and then that's what we want to create, something immutable, something easily transparent to remove corruption in soccer and change the game. Yeah.
I think it'd be good for Hawaii to have a professional team for more than one reason, and this looking for the local grassroots, just to to be able to give the young players, the 10, 12, 9-year-old, whatever, create first local heroes, that, they don't just have to look at Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi or Neymar, whoever else, that they may never get a chance to meet. Now they can start idolizing people, players that they might run into at the supermarket. Yeah, they might run into the supermarket or wherever else and see them at the fields on a regular basis and start idolizing them. And then it also gives all those players that didn't get lucky, with a scholarship to go to the mainland, to play college or they didn't make it further beyond college. Now it gives them an opportunity to play here, to stay here and play here. And
so for a 17-year-old looking to go pro, the barriers of entry would be a lot easier staying here on island and going pro here. No brainer. Yeah?
Correct.
No.
Correct.
From a technology standpoint and utilizing our tech, the contract would thus be a smart contract. They would be paid in tokens, and this is programmable money. I know this sounds a little fucking over the top and over people's heads, but essentially the old contracts are on paper, have a lot of legalese, people can dispute them super easy, but if a player is then kind of paid in tokens, this money is thus programmable. So all the contract stipulations are then attached to the player. So if the 17-year-old signs with the Makani FC, they're going to be the first in the world to have a smart contract associated with them, and it follows them throughout their career. So that's changing the game again.
Yeah, I think one of the goals of Makani FC would be also to give kind of like a platform for those players that dream of playing pro but haven't got the avenues, to get in. Hopefully, this will be, a stepping stone for them that they can get here, and if they do good, they can be seen.
A jumping off point.
Yeah, and they can be seen and be transferred somewhere else.
And then also, this relates back to our revenue stream, which is key. Your favorite team in Uruguay is?
Phoenix, a little tiny team.
Why is Phoenix a crazy good team, and why do they have the sustainability over time as a team? Because they don't have the numbers, right?
Well, they're not a crazy good team like you just said. I wish they were, but they're being a team that's been around over 100 years. I think it's been 105 years that they've been in existence, and what keeps them alive, it's they're always developing players, and when those players get moved up to the pro rankings, a lot of them shortly after get sold, to the bigger clubs in Uruguay, or they go abroad. Some of them even make the national teams, and when they make the national team, they're sold to Europe or other bigger markets. And that's a lot of clubs around the world, survive. They don't survive by winning championships. Like people believe here, and I said, oh, you have to win championships to survive. No, they survive by, developing players, that they can then, sell abroad or sell to even within Uruguay, sell them to a bigger club that's willing to pay more money. And that's what keeps the club alive.
So
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like Phoenix, how do you spell it?
F-E-N-I-X.
Okay, so it's
basically
pronounced
Phoenix.
like Phoenix. Okay.
Phoenix.
Got you, Phoenix. So Phoenix basically receives residual revenue from these contracts that they provided for their players after development. So they pretty much invest in a player, and then after the player jumps, they get payback after that.
Well, depends on how the contract is written, but they get it's part of a FIFA rule also called the solidarity clause, solidarity clause, in which right now United States does not, what's the word I'm looking for? Does not honor, but which is against the FIFA rules.
They don't honor it in MLS, or do they honor it in USL?
They don't honor it pretty much anywhere, because any player that's developed by a club and that player turns pro, the club that developed the player is supposed to get, is supposed to get money, so even if it's an amateur club.
So this is something that we could do in NISA.
Yeah, I mean, here they don't honor it in the United States, and there's been fights, there's been some youth clubs that have sued some, the MLS and U.S. Soccer because their players,
Interesting.
move to pro rankings and they got zero. The rest of the world, if you develop a player, you get compensated.
So this is something almost like promotion relegation, or something.
No, it's different.
No, I know, but
yeah.
something that the U.S. doesn't do
Yeah,
that the rest of the world
correct.
does. So this is something that we can do. Interesting.
Yeah, according to FIFA laws, yes,
Yeah.
And then, but that's how a lot of clubs, survive around the world. They just, let me give you an example. For instance, Luis Suarez, he was sold for, I think it was about $5 million, from Nacional to Groningen in Holland. After 2 seasons over there, he was transferred, to Ajax for, I think it was about $12 million or $8 million. Now, when Nacional sold him origin to Groningen, Nacional owned 100% of his contract. So they got all the money except what went to to Suarez for his player transfer. Then once he got sold to Ajax, that was, I think, in the neighborhood of 12 million. I believe it was 8 or 12 million. Nacional got a cut again. Because on the player contract there's stipulation. Okay, every time he gets sold somewhere else, we keep a percentage of the sale. Then he went to Liverpool for $25 million. Nacional got another cut. Even though it's a small percentage, that cut kept getting bigger because now the price was bigger. Then he got sold to Barcelona for 80 million. So Nacional made more money after selling Suarez than when they initially sold Suarez, and that's what kept them alive, paying many of their debts and stuff like that. Many of their bills. And
So that's something that we might. I mean,
well, it depends on how the contract is written, with each player.
I'm all for it.
And we hope that we can have players of that caliber at some point. I believe in Hawaii soccer that has a lot of potential.
But starting out those contracts would be a no-brainer for us. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, why not have a contract for a professional kid coming out of the ranks that's barely being started? I mean, most likely they're not going to end up playing for Makani FC for their life. They want to go other places. We're going to be a tier 3 team. We're going to be National Independent Soccer Association. Maybe if USL comes, maybe we'll be a USL team. But we want to start somewhere. But if we do have that contract alive and moving, and they jump up to USL, then we would be getting revenue from that, right?
Well, the basis of the contract, you will be getting, usually. But then if they go beyond that, it depends on how the contract is written.
So how to start a soccer team in the U.S.?
How what?
How to start a soccer team in the U.S. First off, team up, mob up. So get creative people around you and form an organization. Next, it's going to take $70 in Hawaii to organize a corporation. Then you get a bank account. Then you start a Patreon, right? Which is also going to be a podcast and a YouTube. Then you get on Refunder. And Refunder, you could do it just right, easy, kind of just launch, or you can do it methodically like we have done. Reform alliances, we get advertisers, which is costing a pretty penny, and then relaunch. But we did market research. We talked to the marketing officer, I believe, of Chattanooga, which was Jeremy. We talked to Detroit FC. We've talked to every single crowd-funded soccer team. They gave us the most information was Sweet Dave from Fano Team. Just want to thank him personally because he gave us all information as far as advertisers, as far as the man from, not Belarus, from Belgium, George, that is going to scrub the internet to help us out. And that's how you start a pro team. So hopefully, wish us luck. After this podcast, we're going to be launching our Refunder.
And that's just the beginning. There's a lot more after that. Once we get to that stage, then we gotta go a lot deeper.
Yeah,
you know?
once
Then we need to find the staff, the players, the coach, everything.
Once we get the money, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
Then we got to find the staff. We got to get the freaking coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get around the politics of Hawaii, which is going to be a fucking huge thing. We're kind of prepared for it a little bit. We understand it. I mean, you've been swimming in it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone knows in Hawaii what it takes, a little bit of everything. The number one thing we need is our principal investor. So the league, National Independent Soccer Association, we have to have a principal owner that's worth $10 million. Thanks to Chattanooga, we found a way around that. They don't have to essentially own 35% of the team. They could own 5% of the team, and then the rest of the owners can then give that 5% owner 35% voting rights. That's a kind of hack that we can go around that. To find that principal owner worth $10 million is pretty much easy in Hawaii, but the thing is they don't know that we exist yet because we haven't launched. So once we launch, if you're worth $10 million, not including your house, give us a call. The 1-800 number is at the bottom of the screen here. Si habla everything when it comes to owning the team. But yeah, after we get past that hurdle, we're going to pay NISA $50,000 application fee. We're going to pay NISA $200,000 to annual fee to enter the league. So hopefully we're going to have this launched by August, mid-August, somewhere around there. We're kind of not in a hurry, but we are in a hurry. Give NISA the money. Once accepted, we should be good to start playing exhibition games up until 2023 when we are officially entered into the league. And then January of 2023, we're going to officially start playing games. Now our budget is on our pitch deck. We have to pay the league a stipend, probably roughly. We haven't gotten into official talks about, we're going to be paying them $250,000 for travel, to have teams coming over here. That means essentially we're going to pay NISA $250,000. Then they are going to divvy out $10,000 to each team that comes over and plays us. Makes sense, right? But that's how the Puerto Rican team did it for USL. They paid USL that money, and then the league kind of gave it up to the team so they could travel and play here. I guess that was the number one thing.
That's a major hurdle for Hawaii,
Yeah.
the traveling, both for teams to come to Hawaii and for us to travel to the mainland.
Yeah.
That's a geographical situation is just it's what's been holding us back in many aspects in a professional sports, not just in soccer, but in baseball and
professional.
maybe, everything.
But if it's a money wash, if we get enough money, then
think about it. Honolulu is the 13th largest city in the United States, and
we have no professional.
There's no professional sport,
representation.
and that's mainly because of their geographical situation.
Yeah, if we can find the money wash to clear that hurdle, we are good to go. After that, after the money issue, the staffing issues, and then, we have our uniforms, which will probably pop up in a infographic later that Kenji's going to help us out with. They're aquamarine and black. And then our logos, which will start evolving our logos over time, basically getting our owners' input, Patreon's input, and you have voting rights, so you'll be voting on logos for both our females and our male teams. Let me see.
Yeah, that's something important that people need to know. We're not looking at just one gender-specific team. We're looking at both genders. Have a men's team and a women's team, or a women's team and a men's team. Because we believe that the potential in Hawaii is there for both.
Well, tell them about the exhibition with the Miso Select, which is pretty much the birth of Makani FC women's team.
We had the first ever pro exhibition game here in Hawaii. There was a year before COVID started.
At Waipio?
We played at Waipio Soccer Stadium, which at the time it was undergoing repairs on the bleachers. So only one side of the stadium was open. And Nojima, the Nojima Stella team from Japan which happened to be the third-ranked team in Japan at the time, was in town training, and they asked if they could get a game. So we just quickly put together, the team, the Miso Elite team, which was, basically a foundation for the Makani FC, and with basically no promotion from the media, even though countless emails and phone calls and other stuff was sent to them to promote the game. For the first time ever, there was a professional women's exhibition game. We got nothing from the TV channels or newspapers. Nobody supported it, unfortunately. Hopefully that changes. But with the little support that we got, or none of the support, it was pretty much us word of mouth and us, promoting it through the Instagram and Facebook and emails. We got the one half of the stadium
pretty full.
Almost to capacity.
Yeah.
I think it was 80% full.
Yeah, it was good seeing that.
So it was probably about 2,000 to 2,500 people.
Yeah, if you go on our YouTube page, we have some media on that. I think two pieces of media.
That was a great game. Also, a very entertaining game. The final result was 1-1. So it was really good to show that the women in Hawaii, with 2 weeks preparation, they can compete, with top level professional teams.
Yeah.
The Japanese league is not a weak league. It's pretty
so
strong.
that was another example of our talent here on island. That was from our female.
Yeah, they had 2 former professional national team players there in that team.
Oh, on Stella. Yeah.
On Stella Najima, and they had a couple others that were, they were being watched, for the national team.
Yeah. So that's on our pitch deck, our numbers for launching both teams. Because on Refunder, we're not just going to launch our men's team; we're going to launch both of them simultaneously because it's a no-brainer.
Now imagine what could have been had we had support from the media,
exactly.
to market it, to promote it. We would have had a lot more people there. A lot more people.